Wow. So we're randomly deciding how much of my story you're going to let me tell now? Because the counter said 14 minutes and seconds. Some seconds. This says 6 minutes. The fuck, YouTube? See? These videos are partially fucking loading. Somewhere. Anyway. Wow. I didn't know that much of the story had been cut off. We were talking about this little bad boy right here. Which most of the time most people can't even really see. Most people don't even see what it is. They just think it's a wrinkle. Thank you to the guy who did the stitch work, right? Maybe kind of, sort of. You can tell now that I've said something, that's for damn sure. Anyway, the conversation was initially about watching these police videos. I can't do it. Every time I see these videos with these poor innocent people in custody, and the cops or somebody in law enforcement is just fucking doing them dirty, I fucking lose my grip on reality. I really do. I have to get up, I have to walk away, I gotta check the fuck out, take a walk, do whatever I gotta do so that I'm not looking at this no more. Because it triggers such a hardcore memory. Like, okay, nobody would intentionally do this shit had they not been driven to it. I was buck naked, people. I had no weapons. All I got is this. Yep. They put me in the police car. And then that's when I just kind of realized all at the same time, horrendously, that I was never going to get any help for domestic violence. This was not going to happen. And in that moment, after waiting so long, through already one abusive marriage, and now this shit, right? I gave up. And I beat up on me. And I beat my head into the interior cage of that police car so hard that yes, it required stitches. But I was a domestic violence victim who was being abused by law enforcement repeatedly. Always. And it actually started in Auburn. I will never forget the first time I tried to report domestic violence. We didn't even have a word for it back then. I was flat told, "We're sorry, Mrs. Bingham, but it sounds like you have a personal problem." Really? A personal problem. At which point I was invited to talk to the city attorney, who may or may not do anything about it. It was up to his discretion as to whether or not to do anything at all, including defending one of your own citizens inside the city limits of your town. Of course, I should have known better. If I'd known then what I know now about police, I would have never called the fucking police. I would have called the fucking county sheriff, because that bitch would have had to act. Yep. But we're a little smarter now. We weren't so smart back then. Of course, we weren't going to be given a chance to be any smarter in our situation. You were just going to keep allowing these people to continue to abuse your fucking victims anyway, weren't you? I mean, that's the whole plan. You see this domestic violence CPS catch-all that shows up in Agenda 21 is in full force in Washington State. All you have to do is look at it for what it is. Yeah. And I would have never put it together if it hadn't been for Silver Red Indigo, because she told me the story of how it works in Israel. I was fucking floored at the time when I heard this from her. I was like, no, that can't be what happened. Is that really what happened? I mean, my mind just snapped after she said this to me. I was like, wow. So in Israel, in the cases of domestic violence, my understanding is, yeah, go on and report that shit. And they will come and they will take your abuser out of the house. They will also be back the next day to take your children because you allowed the abuse. Doesn't matter that you reported it. You're not going to pay for having reported it. So you're basically, what you're telling me as a victim, that I just need to keep my motherfucking mouth shut. Go on, take that. Because I could risk losing my children if I tell on this man who's beating the shit out of me. And that's pretty much how they do it here in Washington State, too. Ain't nothing about that shit changed. Don't lie to me, motherfuckers. Like you need an excuse. Child stealing is a $1 billion a year business. Are you fucking kidding me? Anyway, I digress. So when I look, excuse me, at these videos where law enforcement is most assuredly abusing people, I recall that event. I recall the level of frustration where I got to the point where I actually harmed myself to make them stop what they were doing. I tried to tell the people at the hospital, I said, listen to me. They should have never arrested me. I was the victim. Nobody would listen. Nobody would listen. They just saw this angry, histrionic, tear-filled human being that they had no intentions of listening to, because you're in police custody. We don't have to listen to you. You're just a piece of shit, Auburn General. Same people who tried to convince me my gallbladder was all in my fucking head for a year until I needed fucking emergency surgery, you pricks. See, so I never had a chance. I was always their crash test dummy from day fucking one when it came to domestic violence. And I'm only a convicted felon because my own attorney fucking lied to me. My public pretender, the professional prevaricator, fucking prick. Somebody should stiff kick you in your fucking ass for what you did to me. But I took that felony. And I danced into the DOC and I did everything I was fucking supposed to do. Did I not? Yes, I did. And you know why? Because I wanted to prove to you that you were the ones that were fucking wrong. And I don't have a lot of friends in the DOC, but I can think of at least two. The one who started out the door calling me the general. There was a fucking reason for that goddamn shit. Thank you very much. I earned that shit. That I was a different pair of boots on the ground. And this man got it. It only takes one of you to respond like a human being. Just one. I don't know as I could have avoided 30 years of being beat up. But I'm grateful as a motherfucker that I'm here to be able to talk about it today. Because there's a lot of my compatriots that just aren't here. Or they're hiding in a shelter. Or they're waiting for that next fist. Praying to their gods that somebody will lift them out of their shit. And what I do know is the only one that can do that is you. And I get the part where it's fucking scary. You might even run into the same kind of trouble that I did. But I'm still here. Win, lose, or draw, I'm still above daisies. And that's what matters to me. What matters more to me now, in the end, is that you people who deal with domestic violence, that you actually get a full breadth of what these victims are actually telling you. And quit playing this fucking patty cake game with the city attorneys. Them bitches are not your friends. And they're not representing the victims. They are representing the state's interest. That's it. They don't care about the person that you've got in a chair. And I've seen how you talk to these people in the courtrooms too. Can my advocate be here? Can my na-na-na-na-na? Right? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they're there or not. The only one the judge is concerned with is you. You've got to start enunciating what it is that you want or need from these judges. Don't think that just a fucking no contact order or anti-harassment order is the end of your situation, because it certainly didn't end mine. And I could have been just as lucky as Crystal Brain, I suppose. I mean, why not? Dave and Charles were fucking friends. Are you kidding me? 32 phone calls in a 4-year period. You can't imagine why my domestic violence was never looked into. Duh. God. Please don't play this game, ladies. And for you advocates sitting up there in the city attorney's office, I need for you to recognize some shit. Some of us aren't just a bunch of welfare cases. We're not just a bunch of poor people out here. Some of us are repeatedly victimized by your lack of due diligence and follow-through. I find it incredulous that you actually work with the city attorney, knowing now what I just said is factual. You're not representing the client. You're not representing the victim. You are representing the state's interest and nothing more. And the moment you wrap your mind around that, maybe you'll do a different job for domestic violence victims. Anyway, that's how I got the scar. That's what the whole conversation was originally. And now I'm just going to go take a hot shower and get a cup of coffee and start the rest of my day, because I really was in a much better mood than this. Titties and toes, baby. Titties and toes. See? These videos are partially fucking loading. Somewhere. Anyway. Wow. I didn't know that much of the story had been cut off. We were talking about this little bad boy right here. Wow. So we're randomly deciding how much of my story you're going to let me tell now? Because the counter said 14 minutes and seconds. Some seconds. This says 6 minutes. The fuck, YouTube? Which most of the time, most people can't even really see. Most people don't even see what it is. They just think it's a wrinkle. Thank you to the guy who did the stitch work, right? Maybe kind of, sort of. You can tell now that I've said something, that's for damn sure. Anyway, the conversation was initially about watching these police videos. I can't do it. Every time I see these videos with these poor innocent people in custody, and the cops or somebody in law enforcement is just fucking doing them dirty, I fucking lose my grip on reality. I really do. I have to get up, I have to walk away, I gotta check the fuck out, take a walk.